Okay, now I'll specifically get into a few examples. The most powerful, the most credible, the most exciting contribution of Indians is in math. I very jokingly say that the biggest number that I needed 10 years back was what is called 1.76 into 10 power 13. This is called A Raja index of corruption. 1,76,000 crore is difficult to say. You can use a scientific notation, 1.76 into 10 power 13. That is 1 lakh 7, I can, for ITD you will go mad. 176, I don't know, I have to put some 11 zeros after that. Today we have taken it for granted. Who found this scientific notation? Who said 10 power 13? Indians. When did they say? Shankaracharya in his Yoga Sutra, Bhashya, for his Yoga Sutra Bhashya, he says, in Shankaracharya's Bhashyas, there are only two characters, Devadatta and Somadatta. So he says, see, there is this Devadatta. Casually Shankaracharya's Bhashya and Yoga Bhashya. See, there is somebody called Devadatta. The Devadatta is a son for somebody, father for somebody, brother for somebody. He writes like that. And then he says, you know how it is? This is exactly like how the number changes its value depending upon which place it is. Place value system of numbers, Shankaracharya writes in his Bhashya. Westerners did not know place value of numbers until 1700 or 1600 or whatever. In his Bhashya he writes, Gautama Buddha, he married, after that he became Buddha, he was the prince of Kapilavastu. He married Yashodhara. His marriage, Swayamvara was a quiz on mathematics. So I tell my students, none of you guys will get married. Okay? So there was a Swayamvara on math. Question was, can you tell me the number 10 power 49, Tallakshana or something. So our Gautama Buddha started from 10 power 0 and went up to 10 power 49. Then he told him, that person who was quizzing him, sir, I want to tell you there is another mechanism of counting numbers which we practice. Then he used a complex 10 power 2 raised to the power 23 times n plus. There is one way. If you put n equal to 0, you will get 10 power 49. If you put n equal to 1, you get 10 power 99 or something. So he says at the 8th level there is a number called 10 power 421. And he reels out all the names. It is available in Lalita Vistarna, which is written in the 3rd century AD by one of the Buddhist monk, wrote that book, Lalita Vistarna. So our contribution to numbers are phenomenal. 10 power 61 you want to see, go and see Yuddha Kanda. Because Rama asked what is the size of the army. So the number goes from 10 power 0 to 10 power 61, Mahayoga or something, that is 10 power 61. Orders of 10. All names are there, you go and see in Yuddha Kanda. Anyway, this is a cover page of my book actually, I really was fond of this. This is called Senachiti, Yajna-Vedi. This is one of the Yajna-Vedis, right? And there are 77 such Yajna-Vedis. If you go to Pune, you can see it. There is a museum in which, they have preserved some of them. Some shapes are quite awkward. This is also not necessarily a very nice shape. But the point is, it took 8 hours for me to get this figure. Because I read that this is not easy to construct. You should use only 200 bricks, not 199, not 201. There are constraints. You have to build this with exactly 200 bricks. And I knew what are the 5 different shapes of bricks. This much information I had. So I spent about 8 hours to get this structure finally. Okay? So this is what it is. So you have the head, you have the body, you have the right tail, left tail and right wing, left wing and the tail. And this is the what brick I have called as B1, B2, B3, B4, B5. These 5 different bricks in this many numbers you have to use to build this. That's all fine. Now the question is, how will you get these structures? How will you get a rhombus? How will you get a square? How will you get these are all slightly, fortunately, you have a kurma. Kurma shapes and all is not rectilinear like this. You have the arc. So you need to know radians and arc and etc. etc. How do you do that? Simple problem. You have, Garhapatya, Ahavaniya and Dakshina. 3 of them are there. Garhapatya, I think, is round. Ahavaniya is, I think, square. One of them is round and square. But there is a constraint there. The area of the square must be exactly equal to the area of the circle of that Vedi. Which means you have to solve a problem called pi r square is equal to a square. If a is the side of the square, r is the radius of the circle, you need to solve the solution of pi r square is equal to a square. And if you have to solve it, you need the value of pi. So Indians found the value of pi some 2500 in Bodha and Sulba Sutra. There is an approximate value available for pi. The highest pi is an irrational number. Digits can keep on going. Ramanujam has the highest approximation for pi. You know how many digits? 17.1 million digits. You need a 200-page note to write the value of pi. Ramanujam has his methodology of arriving at the value of pi. This is a legacy of Indians. So, Indians, how did they generate these shapes? In fact, in Chinmaya Vishwadev, I used to teach this. In between, I'll go and teach this Bodhaya and Silva Sutra, some shlokas and so on. What you see here is actually circles. This is a construction algorithm for a square. You see a square in between, in the middle? A square is generated only using circles. This, in modern terms, it is called cyclic geometry. Why did Indians do it? Because Indians were good in, if they want to generate a shape, they will put a shanka. They will put a stick, they will tie a thread. If you tie a thread to a stick, the only shape you can generate is an arc of a circle. You can take it around. That's what they have done. It's called Sulba Sutra. Sulba is thread. And who is teaching it? University of British Columbia. There is an elective called rope geometry. Indians don't even know such a thing exists. They teach an elective for their mathematics students. University of British Columbia, I saw it. Whether it is continuing now, I don't know. At that time when I was teaching, I searched and I found it there. They were teaching. So Indians are very good in it. All that they will do is, just put a pole, tie a thread to it, generate any shape you want using a construction algorithm, which deploys only circles and arcs of circles. That's how the 77 Vedis were made. That's where I am coming to. That is how the brick structures were arrived at. Cyclic geometry, which we knew 2000 years back, not a few hundred years back. This is a child's play in this country. I am told if you go to Madhya Pradesh and a few places, just on the wall they will scratch this. So I will tell you what is this. What you have on the left is called magic square. Bhadra Ganita in India. And we know what a magic square is. All columns will add up to the same sum. All rows will add up to the same sum. The diagonal will also add up to the same sum. In this case, it is 34. This is a special magic square, by the by. You have a 4 by 4 matrix. You are filling the first 16 natural numbers 1 to 16. Question is, how do you pack it? There are only 1 to 16 here. Right? This is called magic square. That is called pan-diagonal magic square. It's called Sarvato Bhadra Ganitam. Do you know what is the difference between this and this? This one fellow on this side is a sheet. Imagine it is not a sheet. It is a cylinder. Imagine it is not a sheet. It's a torus. If it is a torus, then after 13, 16, 4, the next number will be 1 because it is on this side. Similarly, after 11, 7, 6, now I am rolling it horizontally, not vertically. I am rolling it horizontally. If I roll it horizontally, the next number after 6 will be 10. It will be on that side. This is also adding up to the same number now. So I don't know how many diagonals are there now. All diagonals will add up to the same number, 34. This is called pan-diagonal magic square. This is called a magic square. Bhadra Ganitam, Sarvato Bhadra Ganitam. Sarvatra etadeva drishyate. Itartyaha. Sarvato Bhadra Ganitam. There is one Narayana Pandita, Kerala School of Math. 1399, I think 1400 or something, he actually solved this problem. And he gave an algorithm, Turaga Gati. It's like a horse, it's like chess. Go from here, put a number here, go here, put a number here, come here, put a number. That's how he came with an algorithm. It's called Turaga Gati. In my book, I have that algorithm. All properties he established, I have given in my book actually. Not only that, he said there are 383 different ways you can pack these 16 numbers. What did Westerners do? First of all, they had no idea. In 1920, in a university mathematics department in USA, one person came and said 8 solutions are possible, no more than that. In 1920. They don't know Narayana Pandita. Indians also don't know Narayana Pandita even today in 2024. In 1928, another person actually came with a solution and an algorithm, and he said 383. Which is what Narayana Pandita said, a good 600 years back. Just look at what our ancestors have done in this country. Laplace, what was told 3102 BC, Aryabhatta, we have to be thankful. Today is Tuesday. Do you know how today is Tuesday? Somewhere you have to start, no? Where did we start? Aryabhatta started. He said 19th February 3102 BCE is the beginning of Kali Yuga and happened to be a Saturday. Whole world is using that calendrical system. Otherwise, how do you know today is Tuesday? Who said that? He said 3102 BC, 19th or 18th February, I think 19th February. Sometimes these dates miss me a little bit. One of these 2 days, 18th February or 19th February, he says it's a Saturday. Then from there, so in our Panchanga calculation, there is something called Ahargana. Ahargana is equal to 1 on 18th February 3102 BCE, and today you calculate the Ahargana, take a modulus 7, you know what day is today, because modulus 7, na? If the remainder is 0, it is Saturday. If the remainder is 1, it is Sunday. If the remainder is 2, it is Monday, because divided by 7. So he said, it is exactly what Aryabhatta said. Our contributions to astronomy are astronomical. We have to use a word like that. Okay, now I will move into metals and alloys. This is a great area. This is a sleeping giant, which we don't know. So let me little bit sprinkle a little bit. All these are from my books. I have pulled here and there a little bit. This is so popular. That's why I brought this. Everybody knows this. This is in Qutub Minar, the iron pillar. This iron pillar was not in Delhi. The iron pillar was in Orissa in the 3rd century. In the 10th century, it was brought to Delhi. After that, it is in Sher Khan. Somebody brought it and then put it in Delhi. And this fellow is refusing to rust. It is lying on open. It is not put in a bank locker. It is exposed to Bombay rain and Delhi rain, everything. It is simply refusing to rust. For how many days? 1,800 years. It's not rusting. Whole world doesn't know what the hell is going on here. This is called ferrous carbon alloy. Steel is called ferrous carbon alloy. Anybody who does mechanical engineering, metallurgical engineering has to study what is called TTT diagram. There is something called TTT diagram. It's a 3-dimensional diagram. Temperature, time, transformation. So there are 3 dimensions you can imagine. When we used to remember those. One axis is temperature, another axis is time, the third axis is transformation. Why? Because at a certain temperature, after a certain time, this ferrous carbon alloy will keep changing its composition. That's how steel, this is the highest thought in steel. Indians were probably very good in it. That's why they could get the right composition of the ferrous and carbon so that this fellow is refusing to rust. Now it is not only this. I brought it because this is popular. In fact, one person told me when I was giving the lecture, sir, this is in the middle of the country, sir. I said, come to Kollur here, come to Sringeri, I will take you. Come to Kollur, which is just 30 kilometers from Arabian Sea. That pillar is also not rusting. One Indian sort of science professor has studied all kinds of things with that, and then he finally said, perhaps because of this composition, that composition, etc., etc. You may say, sir, it is 40 kilometers away. Come to Puri with me. It is on the sea coast. Those pillars are refusing to rust. I mean, iron beams are refusing. They are iron beams. So, We have so many. Mount Abu has one. Dhar in Madhya Pradesh has 2 times bigger than this. On the eastern coast you have gigantic iron beams at Konark. 239 pieces found in this temple. They are not rusting. Which says Indians were absolutely fabulous in ferrous carbon technology. Please understand, ferrous carbon alloy. They knew what ferrous carbon alloy is. That's what it actually is pointing to us. In fact, I showed it to one metallurgist, one professor of metallurgy, I showed it to him. I said, sir, please tell me, in PS1, PS2 also they were showing seals and all that, because that's how our kings were using. Oh, chapa hai na? You have to, that is the only mark of credibility and government seal, Raja's seal. I said, what does it make to make this seal? This is the seal of the last of the Samudra Gupta king, 300 CE, which is about 1800 years back. I asked him, what does it take to make it? I was stunned when he said, sir, first you must know there is some metal called gold. Second, you must know that is available somewhere under the earth. Third, you should know how to take it out. And gold will not come like that. 1 kilogram of ore, you will get probably 4 grams of gold. 996 grams are dust. So you should know how to distill it, how to extract the metal from the ore. Then he said, you should know that gold cannot be used for making any ornaments. You have to add some other metals. That means you should know some other metal now. Maybe copper or tin, whatever. Then he said, then he reeled out all the subjects I read in metallurgy. He said molding, embossing, forming, all. He said without all that, this is not possible. I mean, we take it for granted. Again, this shows Indians were at everything. Not only that, Indians not only knew about one metal, they knew how to mix 5 metals. I mean, I don't know how to mix this sambar powder, water and tamarind. It gets into a mess. Rasam never comes. Or sambar doesn't come. Whereas these people are mixing 5 metals and make what is called Panchaloha idols. And the only message we read is it is either stolen or it is recovered. This is the legacy on which give me a break. This is the legacy on which we are living in this country. We knew how to mix 5 metals and make beautiful tolls, and people whack it away. Indians export it and make money, smuggle it and then make money, and then there is another wing which is trying to bring it back. This is all we are playing with our legacy. Look at this. It's a 2nd century BCE ornament which is there in this museum. Metropolitan Museum of Art in Washington, I think. Again, what intricate work, this ornament. What kind of tools they would have used? I started wondering what kind of tools they will use. Metal working. It's high end here. 3000 years back, we were just dabbling in metal working. Ore mining. Indians only knew how to extract zinc. Why? Because zinc separates from the ore at 500 degrees centigrade. At 550 degrees centigrade, zinc becomes zinc oxide. You have no catch between 500 and 550, only Indians knew it. The downward, which 17th century foreigners found. Downward drift distillation process. We have an yantra for it, which we have been. So in 11th century, I have read, in 11th century, Indian production of zinc was industrial scale, 1,000,000 tons. You go to Rajasthan, K3 mines, and go and understand what is leftovers. You can only study leftovers now. They have some advanced methods of ore mining and smelting and extracting zinc. We have Buddhist monuments which have used tons and tons of zinc and copper, brass and bronze. Go to Bihar, and see all those 33 feet tall statues made of alloy of zinc. That means first I know I could extract zinc. That's what it is showing. This is the legacy of this country. This is called wood steel. I just pulled it from Wikipedia. This is called wood steel. This is made of wood steel. This is called Damascus blade. Warfare was only talwar. Only in 1500 gunpowder and all that came. So how they were manufacturing this laser sharp, thoda chop karke sab khatam kar sakte hain. How did they make it? Indians supplied steel. From here it went to Damascus. How did it go? There were two very vibrant ports in India. One is called Kodungalur, which is about 50 kilometers north of Ernakulam. That was the, gateway for us to go sail west. And there was one called Pumbuhar, which is on this side. Both are non-entities today. Both the cities, towns are non-entities today. So from Kodungalur, and where was this wood steel made? Wood steel was made in a tri-junction of Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Salem. Salem is equidistant. Salem is part of Tamil Nadu. You go 50 kilometers, you will get into Karnataka. You go 100 kilometers, you will get into Kerala. That was a tri-junction. And why is it called wood steel? Because in Kannada it is called ukku. In Tamil it is called urukku. So they ru and all very difficult for foreigners. So woods. That's how it gets its name. Now there are studies. 1963, one conference paper I read when I was reading this, writing this book. In that conference paper, they are still trying to figure out how do you recreate this composition of woods, steel. We have not succeeded today. So that's what it is. We have not been able to succeed to recreate woods, steel. It's gone. As early as 700 BCE, which is a good 2,800 years back, we were dabbling with ferrous carbon alloys. Michael Faraday was fascinated by wood steel composition. None of this is taught in any science. None of the Indians know it. They say that these tools can radially split. Hair is a micron thickness here. Radially splitting the hair. So hair splitting at its best, if you wish. Now the point is, that's okay. The point is, if you need to make a tool which can work with such subtleness, that tool making requires high speed alloy steel. You need a very different ball game. Completely a different ball game. So 50 instruments are there in, Shushu Samhita. Or Charaka Samhita. Shushu Samhita actually. So, what are we to infer from there? Panchaloha idols, I already talked about it. And it is done through a methodology called Madhuchishta Vidhanam. Stella Kramrish has written about it in her Vishnudharma. It is available in Vishnudharma Purana apparently. She has written it. I read some portions of it from her book. Madhu is honey. Uchishta is leftover. So the beehive is the leftover of Madhu. That is a Madhuchishta Vidhanam. In 1700, French people came with this last wax casting technology, which is nothing but Madhuchishta Vidhanam. That's why the idols are so sharp. So nice, actually. Right? Now, what is special about my book? Absolutely no glorification. There are only 3 sources for my book. First source is archaeological evidence. You cannot bury something 100 meters below the earth. It's not possible. So that's why world over they accept archaeological evidence as a credible evidence. Right? My book is written based on archaeological evidence. My book is based on living structures. What I showed you are only living structures. Nallayapur temple, you go and see, go and tap today. Go and tap, please. I am talking of living structures. Step wells. You go to, Rani Ki Vav and then go and see the charm of watershed management there. So my second literature which I employed for writing the book is living structures. The Delhi pillar is living. It's not a Roman colossal which is gone. The third evidence for me is literary evidence. I have taken Yukti Kalpadaru, I have taken Samarangana Sutradhara, Rasaratna Samuchaya, to name a Brihat Samhita of Varaha Mihira, Aryabhatiya, Leelavati. So these are the only 3. So the evidence is there, compelling evidence is there. I am not cooking up anything, I am not actually conjecturing anything, I am only presenting what I found. Compelling evidence. But then what is happening? We have no inkling of it today. Absolutely no inkling of it today. Right? We have very little awareness. We do not teach any of this. I want you to take a serious view of it. I mean, this is very strange. This society is very strange. Right? Now the question is, sir, why did all this happen? To me, the answer is very simple. 9 out of 10 Indians today, whether he study engineering, in what branch of engineering, whatever he studies, he will finally end up with what is called ASDFCF semicolon LKJHJ. This is what Indians will do today. Sit in front of a computer. Now the question is why? Because that's where money is. Swami Vivekananda said, fill your stomach. Spirituality and all we'll see later. Let us fill our stomach first. So today what is happening, in 30 years I have seen this change. Everybody wants to become a software engineer. Are we cookie cutters? Looks like we are all coming out of a cookie cutter. Right? Whereas our literature says, Prakriti Gunasambhavaha. Prakriti Visesha. Each one is made of a unique Prakriti. What did Britishers do in 1800? They said, if you read Indian knowledge system, no job for you. What will you do? You will not read Indian knowledge system. I have my child, I have a family, I have to do something, I have to live first. So we abandoned everything. He said, do these jobs, I will give you money. Read this text, I will give you a job. What will I do? Please have compassion. Society will only go. I am not blaming them. I am saying people in power will influence what will be important, what will not be important. That's what independent India is also doing. People in power have to decide where to go. Right? So what happened was, in fact, whatever these good practices remain today, we have thrown all of them as Adivasi and thrown them onto the margin and give them some 5%, 7.5% reservation and be done with it. Instead of understanding, you have to go there and then extract all that knowledge from them and bring it to the mainstream. We are not doing any of those because our thinking post-independence is exactly colonial. There is nothing different. So we are just perpetuating that idea. Yeah? And in this process, there was a nashta. Why? Because, see, if you read, this is my biggest disappointment also. I have written a book, but I read about what is called shipbuilding in Yukti Kalpataru. Right? I mean, there is so much said about different types of ships, measurements and so on. But if I ask, how is ship made? That process is not available. How is wood steel made? Process is not available. I only know they are made and enough evidence to conclusively prove that we are not bluffing because all the processes were oral tradition. And the moment you cut that umbilical cord, processes are gone. So, sarvam nashtam abhut. Idanim sarvam nashtam abhut. Katham etad abhut iti vayam na janimah. We don't know. Because the generation after that 3-4 generations, there are still, Aranmula glass is there. A few people, they are not willing to even reveal that. I am okay. What I am saying is, that was our culture. So oral tradition accentuated the problem even more. So Indian knowledge system went to the background. If a country is invaded for 1,000 years, what we preserve is a wonder of the world. Whatever little we preserve itself is a wonder of the world. Because large scale destroying of universities, which society can weather such a catastrophe? Please tell me. It's a major catastrophe. So this is the paristiti. Bharatiya jnana paramparanam paristiti yesha eva. Adhunika paristiti. Karanam sarvam atra asti. Okay? So what do we do today? This is what we do. I have seen all this in this country. Easiest thing is to abandon them. Or keep it in a puja room and worship. Please worship Bhagavad Gita. One book you keep there. Keep one more book and open and read it. This is what I beg my fellow compatriots in this country. Keep one book of Ramayana inside, but please open and read it here. Read it for your own consumption. Something will come out of it. They are all germs of knowledge. Why do you put only tulsi leaves and keep it there? This is what another set of people are doing. Keep it in puja room and worship. रोज ये देखना है, वो सफाई करना है, एक तुलसी लीफ खत्म. No. Third, this is a fancy of the modern educated Indians. Go to the rooftop and say Bhagavad Gita preaches violence. Some of my colleagues say that. They are so afraid of me now. So I called them and I said, do you know Sanskrit? I don't know. Have you read any commentaries of Bhagavad Gita? I don't know. Then I said, I won't discuss with you. Please don't ask me about anesthesia. I don't know anesthesia. It is foolish to talk about anesthesia. I am a professor of management, little management I know. I should not talk anesthesia. Whereas Indians have this habit. Go to the rooftop and without knowing anything about Indian knowledge system, go to the rooftop and say Indian knowledge system is nonsense. This has become a preoccupation. We have to come out of this mindset. These Britishers taught us and we are parroting it. Or, there is a set of Shraddhalus, but they think the best way to propagate Indian knowledge system is glorify it blindly. On one conference, they told me, sir, string theory is in Bhagavad Gita. I said, oh, is it? I have been reading Bhagavad Gita for 30 years. Tell me, where is it? Sir, there is one shloka, matta paratram na anyat kinchit dhananjaya, mayi sarvavidam protam sutre maniganaiva. Sir, the string theory is. I said, boss, don't do this. Greatest disservice to Indian knowledge is doing this. A lot of people seriously doing it. I mean, unintentionally they are doing it. Unwittingly they are doing it. We should educate them, don't do it. Not required. You just say what it is. Truth requires no support from ordinary mortals from us. We have to only say the truth. Rest are all, it will shine by itself. Swayam prakashaha. Satyam tu swayam prakasha. Satyam jnanam anantam brahma. So we don't have to do anything. This is another category. So I am only saying, going forward, this society must do this seriously. One text, that's what I did. 30 years back, I had the greatest fortune of listening to Puja Gurudev and Bhagavad Gita and some Swamiji. So after listening considerably, I started reading Gita. And I stayed that text for a long time. Then only I went to Upanishads and all that. So I think each one of us can do one. Take one text, go deep into it. Then you become a champion of that. That will give us the strength to look at the other texts. That's what I would like. And it's not only Gita. I want people to read Aryabhatiya. I want people to read Samarangana Sutradhara. I want people to read Nyaya and Vaishekika. What a kind of Tarka Shastra, what a logic and argumentation. Okay, I'll stop here. I will skip all this. This is the book. I just wanted to tell you that all these culminated with the grace of all Swamijis and the elders and everything. We were able to put, all of us were, these were the first 3 faculty of Chinmaya Vishwavidyapita, I want to tell you. Person 1 was B. Mahadevan, person 2 and 3 came together, both of them are here. We 3 were running the show for 3 months, just loitering on, SIF, we didn't even have a room, but we had a lot of passion to do something, all that. So we 3 got together. I did the heavy lifting, being an elder faculty. They did a little bit work, which is fine. I wanted some, they gave it, and then I have a little experience to put them together, so that's okay. So we 3 from Chinmaya Vishwavidyapita, when we were there, these thoughts emerged, but we wrote it much later. There's an interesting story why we wrote it. That's a different story. We'll just leave it. So I want to end, I call it as a treasure in a wooden box. So I want to end with this picture. That's why I call it as treasure in a wooden box. There was a Swamiji who was entering into a temple. There was a beggar sitting on a wooden box and asking for alms. So the Swamiji said, see, I am also in the same ashrama. I can't, I also have to beg and so on. So therefore, I have nothing to give to you. But I can tell you one thing. You are sitting on this wooden box. Why don't you open and see it? So this beggar said, no, Swamiji, I am the 5th generation. My great-grandfather sat on the same box. My grandfather, my father. I am sitting. My son is already on the way. So nothing to open. He said, okay. Swamiji, before he went in, he said one more sentence. He said, gentlemen, I want to tell you something. Whether you sit on the wooden box for 1 hour or 1 million hours, you may not know what is inside. Then he went in. That's all he said, and then he went into the temple. This last sentence started creating a mess for this beggar. He said, oh, maybe what this Swamiji says might be some truth. So after 4 or 5 days, this was too much. Nobody has the key for it. Key are lost long back. So he took a big stone and then broke that rusted lock. He opened it. It was full of gold and silver and diamond and so on. I leave the story to you. I don't know whose story is this. I leave this story to you. Thank you.